Good day, dear two-wheel enthusiasts. In this episode, I wanted to do a little review on the Silence S01 Plus. It's about a scooter of the 125cc class, which can be driven with an A1 or B196 license. The model shown here is a version produced at the end of 2021, and about a year ago, I took it to the streets. The vehicle has clocked 6,000 kilometers to date, and I just wanted to address the pros and cons of this vehicle and clear up some misconceptions. I wish you lots of fun watching this video. Let's start with the rear shock. It's a monoshock that's adjustable. What can be seen here at the top on the adjustment screw? Towards soft, towards hard. And the spring preload can be adjusted with these rings here as well. Fold-out footrests on both sides are a given. So the scooter is indeed suitable for two people to ride. Regarding the front axle, it should be noted that a Gall-brand braking system has been integrated, which also grips quite well and can be easily modulated. One can also see here, the suspension fork, which is also adjustable, available through adjustment screws in the upper areas. For that, the front would have to be removed to get better access. Moreover, we have LED lighting concerning the daytime running lights, as well as the low beam, the rear light, and the indicators. Let's talk about the advantages of this rocket. If you're traveling around the city with it, there's basically hardly anything faster than an electric scooter like this. The torque is there from the start, and at the traffic light, you're pretty much always the first one with this vehicle. The controls are...
After 6,000 kilometers
even
driven.
after kilometers, it's still like on the first day. The switches can be operated without any problems. Turn signal system.
Yes!
You can hear the beeping, which can be turned off if desired.
Goodbye.
Other than that, throttle. The white stuff you see up here is all sealant. We'll get to that in a moment. The scooter actually has shortcomings regarding corrosion protection. Yes, a look at the cockpit. It is also kept relatively simple. I can switch here between city, sport. I usually ride the scooter on eco for daily business because it's enough for the city, and sport really kicks it up a notch. In sport mode, we have regenerative braking. In city mode, no. That's called glide mode. And in eco mode, we also have regeneration. Additionally, information can be retrieved.
Cooling about
So with the info button, you can check the total mileage, then get the average speed of the last ride. All these things can be easily accessed via the info button right here. The engine temperature, the inverter temperature, and the battery temperature. It must be said that the battery temperature is naturally decisive for whether you can charge or not.
You should charge
In
it
fact,
down here.
Below 41 degrees, it's better not to start, or rather bring the battery inside. Regarding the range, the vehicle has a specified range in eco mode of 133 kilometers. That's quite optimistic. If you really only drive in eco mode, then you're definitely able to make the 120 kilometers. Realistically speaking, when you ride the scooter as it's meant to be ridden, realistic ranges are between 55 and 70 miles when you're not hanging around the guest's head all the time. Yes. Then we have down here in the console the obligatory hook for bags. Then we have the ignition lock. You can start the scooter either with a key or via an app. That works too. This scooter can also be located via app. And lock it. Well, you can adjust quite a lot through the app. So, what else is there to say about this machine? Yes, they are all expensive when it comes to prices in electric mobility. If you're saving, you can definitely have your thoughts about it. And when you look at Ray's and BMW's pontoons, then this scooter stands out in comparison. Still actually affordable. Whether it's worth it in the end is something everyone has to decide for themselves. Which brings us now to another feature of this scooter. This scooter has the biggest storage compartment in its class. And yes, that's actually one of the reasons I got the scooter in the first place. Because when you look at it here, you actually have space for 2 full-sized full-face helmets. There's room here for helmets. So if you're riding double in the city, you can actually leave both helmets and go shopping. Moreover, it can find a parking space anywhere. And that's the main area of use for this scooter. Mainly the city, even though it can go up to 110 kilometers per hour. It still reaches an actual GPS measured 90 or 100 kilometers per hour. This scooter reaches 90 kilometers per hour as measured by GPS in sport mode. And when I reach a certain speed, I can activate what's called boost mode. Boost mode then ensures that I can hit top speed for 30 seconds. You have higher performance available, and then according to the speedometer, the scooter runs.
Take a short
so 30
break.
seconds, 110 kilometers per hour, which then GPS measured is actually 100 kilometers per hour. This shortcoming is debatable. The internet forums are full of this topic. That's something to be aware of. For the highway, this vehicle is really only somewhat suitable. Maybe a short stretch of urban highway, but no 30 kilometers.
40 kilometers full speed car.
Subtitling not possible due to audio quality.
Yes, let's talk about one of the biggest features of this scooter. That's the removable battery, the 5.6 kilowatt hour battery. To do this, we open the seat, have this little lever here, we pull it. Then the newer models also all have the battery lock here at the rear wheel.
So,
Aside.
key inserted.
And then we're completely relaxed. Complete to pull out. That's what the battery looks like. Completely dirty after 6,000 kilometers. I clean it regularly myself. Housing screw connection free of cracks. The power that this battery is capable of delivering is indeed impressive. When you then see the range, it's a complete package.
Let's talk about one of the
And
biggest features of this scooter.
this is the corrosion protection. If we take a look or film inside the battery compartment,
Then you see a lot of stones
a
here.
whole lot of wax. And that's precisely why I've applied a good amount of wax here.
That is in all gap measurements, in all niches back here. If you do nothing here, it basically rusts down here.
The scooter hums along amusingly.
From my
That's
view,
construction
not,
technology.
kind of.
At least poor, because if we look at the rear axle,
Then one sees
the implementation, there's a gap. And here is the rear swing arm, and the rear wheel splashes and whirls dust, stones, water and dirt into the fairing, thus continuing, of course, in the battery compartment. These are things that could certainly have been solved better. But if you properly seal this scooter, I've tackled it everywhere here. Also, the stand and everything that's metal here. Then you'll enjoy it even longer. So yes, a USB charging port with 2 power ranges is also available here. And beyond. I equipped the vehicle with a Garmin navigation device, which is mounted on the handlebar center with a ball head, and which is connected so that it ignites 2 turns on with it. This way one can navigate through the city without having to mount the phone anywhere and is always well guided. So, what's the conclusion about this vehicle? In the end, one has to say, after 6,000 kilometers, I would actually buy it again in this way. Of course, we have to talk about the points. Inadequate corrosion protection. Then there's the thing about speed, that it doesn't really go a true 110. Are issues, yes, those might slightly tarnish the impression. But for me, they still aren't enough to speak badly of this scooter. In this sector, there are now many manufacturers trying their hand at it. And I believe there's also a battery contact with the remover. Here, we have a vehicle that is good for city driving. Another downside to these vehicles is the steering head bearing. One must say now that this model already has the upgraded steering head bearing installed. And yet, Now starting at 6,000 kilometers, the first flaws begin to appear. So it means that here, in the middle position, a very, very slight detent position has formed or developed, which must of course be addressed promptly. The steering head bearing, from my perspective, inferior steering head bearings are installed. Because such a steering head bearing normally lasts much longer than 6,000 kilometers. Otherwise, I had no other expenses for this vehicle. The brakes are still here, the first set or the first sentence, and apart from the steering head bearing, nothing else is pending for now. The vehicle is tax-free, generating an annual renewable energy credit of 300 to 400 euros. Looks snappy. And will hopefully accompany my household for many, many years to come. Yes, that's it for our little review. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. Similarly, almost everything we talked about today can also be applied to the seat MO. As is well known, the Silence company is based in Barcelona. This is where the scooters are manufactured and shipped worldwide, and build the pontoons for seat. Basically, it's based on the technology, and that's really what it's all about. About the identical vehicle, in this sense, have nice days.